big challenge with modern video games is that you cannot really compete unless the game has like a lot of people working and requires multiple years. You know what I mean? Games back in the day, if you were a fucking wizard, if you knew what you were doing, you could code some lines, like you can create like fucking asteroids. You could create games like within a month if you were very good. Because the graphics were very limited, and now, despite, I mean, today we're, I guess, privileged to have access to the engines, which allows laymen to have some creative control and direction, but it also doesn't position you at the edge of the cutting edge of technology, so you're not kind of in line with that sort of stuff. You're not pushing the limits. You're mainly just working on stuff that other people have created and worked before you. And it's hard to get creative. It's hard to get creative unless you're willing to invest a lot of time, a lot of money, a lot of people, a lot of resource, you know? But yeah. It's a very interesting dynamic. Like, goddamn. Or you get lucky. I mean, that's for indie devs. Yeah, you could get lucky by nailing something like very, very unique. But there's this weird dichotomy of the game dev industry currently. You have like really small creators, like indie devs who are working on their own, right? But they're always like, which are more creative. There's more of them, and they're more creative than the big companies. The big companies basically do, like, they're the only ones who can actually change the technology because they have enough resources. They're the only ones who can push the creativity. But ironically enough, the big ones never push the creativity because they can't afford to do so, precisely because they have the monies and the responsibilities to the shareholders. So they, okay, what are we gonna do? How do we get 100 million in funding? I know how. Let's make Call of Duty 17 because that's gonna get like half a fucking billion immediately, right? Okay, how do we get funding for the next game? We need about 150 million. Okay, how do we do that? Let's make Call of Duty 18. Let's make FIFA 2030, you know? That's the problem. The big ones do that because they kind of have to justify their money before going into the game. But the small devs, which are more creative, are the ones who cannot be on the cutting edge. And that's a very, very weird thing that this like game industry is in. But yeah. Shareholders are the bane of the world. I mean, it's just as soon as something becomes a big business, creativity, passion, they all take a back seat. That's just how it is. That's just how the world works, you know.